Good afternoon, world. It's 3 o'clock, almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I just woke up. This is going to be another very interesting video today. I hope you guys enjoyed my video I made earlier this morning. I'm going to do a second video today. I might. Yesterday, I did not do a second video. I was tired. I was working on my book, right? So by the time I worked on my book, it was like 9 o'clock. I had no time to work on my, I had no time to make another video. Hence why I made one early in the morning. So for now on, my second video I might make it early in the morning instead. I'll watch Obi-Wan first. The 3 episodes of Obi-Wan. I'll finish the season, obviously, today. And then I'll watch I'll make a probably video in the morning. Because this video will probably get uploaded around, by the time I'm done this video, it'll be like almost 6 o'clock, man. It'll be like 6 o'clock. It'll take a good, I don't know, the connection's now fast. It'll take probably a good 10, 15, 20 minutes to upload this video. And I'll watch probably a good like 1 hour of it, and I have to work on my book. The reason why because before I used to work on my book late at night, but my stepbrother, my younger stepbrother got a job. He got a good paying job at the bank, $40,000 a year, and he has to work, obviously, hence why he has to go to bed early. Hence why now I work on my book earlier, around like 7:38, 8 o'clock. I work on my book. 7:38, 8:30 around there is around the time I work on my book. You see what I'm saying here? Hence why my second video I might make early in the morning for now on. But if I make it early in the morning, you will not see the video until you wake up, pretty much. Until like 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll see the video. Because my stepfamilies are constantly taking away the internet. They've been taking away the internet for a good month now. Hence why I download stuff on my TV. You see what I'm saying? I watch Obi-Wan. I watch Disney movies, Pixar movies, DreamWorks movies. I watch all these I watch all these shows and movies. Hence why what? Hence why what? Hence why what? Hence why I make videos early in the morning now, because yeah. Because by the time I watch this video, it'll be the evening, and I have to get my beer and my smokes. By the time I watch this video, it'll be like the evening. Don't forget that it'll be the evening, obviously. And I have to work on my book. I have to, for me to finish my book by the end of the year, I have to be consistent. I've been slacking off a lot the past couple months. I've only been doing like, I don't know, 20 pages a month or something like that. 16, 17 pages a month. Whereas before, when I started, we did on average like 30, 40 pages a month. See what I'm saying here? Yeah. I mean, how much pages do you do a day? I always aim at 2 to 3 pages a day for editing. So I'm only on what? I'm only like 30 pages into the book, and the book is 530 pages now. So by the time I finish editing the book, will be like 600 pages long. That's why when you guys buy the print or the ebook, you're looking at a long book. You're looking at like a 700-page book. For the print, you're looking at maybe 650, 700 pages. For the ebook, you're probably looking at around that range too, 650, 700 pages, 600 pages for the ebook. The ebook won't be as much pages as the book, because it just depends on how big my book is. My book is small, it'll be a longer book. If it's a small print style book, obviously it'll be probably close to 700 pages a book. If it's big, it'll be 600 pages, 580 pages. So it's a long book. It's longer than Fellowship of the Ring, my book. Longer than the whole Fellowship of the Ring book. And Fellowship of the Ring was a long book. I remember when I read it, it took me the long. It was a long. It's the longest of the 3 books, Fellowship of the Ring. Fellowship of the Ring is long. Two Towers isn't too long. Two Towers is only 400 some pages. And Return of the King is only like 350 pages. Not that long. And I finished all 3 books. And what? I finished all 3 books. I finished all 3 books and what? I finished all 3 books. I finished all 3 books and what? And I finished all 3 books. And I finished all 3 books and what? I finished all 3 books and what? I finished all 3 books. And now what? And now I'm officially part of the Lord of the Rings family. So all you Lord of the Rings fans, you can officially say, Ivan, welcome to the Lord of the Rings family. Yeah, I read all 3 books. I can officially now say, yeah, I read all of Lord of the Rings. I read all 3 books. Yeah. I read all of Lord of the Rings. I read all 3 books. I'm now officially part of the Lord of the Rings family. I read the whole book, man. Yeah, man, I read all 3 books. Which is a huge accomplishment, man. I read all 3 fucking books, man. It's crazy, man. All I have left to read is the appendices. The appendices I'll start reading on. I might start reading it next week. The appendices are only 150 pages long. I can read the whole thing, and by the end of the year, I'll read the whole appendices of Lord of the Rings. End of the year, probably early next year, I'll finish reading the appendices of Lord of the Rings. Once I read the appendices, I can officially say I read the appendices. I finished the story. The story is all done. I finished all 3 books. And I might reread it. I don't know. I might reread Lord of the Rings maybe. I don't know. While I pay the fee, I might reread the whole book again. To get my mind off things. I don't know. When I'm staying in a hotel or I'm staying at home, I might reread the whole Lord of the Rings again. So I already read Fellowship's Ring 2.5 times. So if I read, what book do you understand the most? Fellowship of the Ring. Fellowship of the Ring is the book I understand the most. Because I've read it the most times. I read it twice, and I read half of it last year, the whole thing on YouTube. And so I understand the story more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Fatty Bulger, you know what I'm saying? All the characters, Gildor, Glorfindel, Arwen, you know what I'm saying? Aragorn. The manager at the end, I forget his name. Obviously, I understand the story of Fellowship of the Ring. It's pretty much Frodo and Sam and Pippin and Merry. They pretty much leave the Shire. Gandalf's gone for 17 years. And then he comes back to what? He's gone for 9 years. And he comes back 9 years later. Obviously. 9 years later from the 17 years. And he tells Frodo about the ring. I understand Fellowship of the Ring better now, you see what I'm saying? For you to understand Lord of the Rings well, you have to read it like multiple times. You have to read it like 3. It just depends how smart you are, how big of a USB you have. There's some fans out there but I guarantee you, even the smart book nerds, on their first read, they probably only grasp like 25% of Lord of the Rings on their first read, because it's a complicated book to understand. It's a very complex book to understand. You have it's not complex to understand, but the world building is so in depth. It's impossible to grasp like 60% of Lord of the Rings in one read. No, man. You have to read it. Chances are all these fans who know about Lord of the Rings a lot, they probably read the books like 3, 4, 5 times. That's why they know so much about the story. Obviously, they have in-depth knowledge of the story. Whereas me, I only grasp like, I don't know, the whole series. I probably only grasp less than 5% of the book, not even 2% of the book. Maybe I grasp the story. Obviously, well, Fellowship of the Ring, I grasp the story pretty well now, because I read the whole book 1 on my fucking channel. You see what I'm saying? I read the whole thing on my channel, man. So I understand the story pretty well. Alright, when you read it again, yeah, I'll read it again. I don't know, I might reread Lord of the Rings when I pay this bullshit fee. Yeah, I might reread Lord of the Rings while I'm in my hotel room staying in because they're probably going to have me stay in a hotel, or they might have me come home. No, they're probably going to have me just come home. I work in Ottawa. I pay the fee in Ottawa. I bus back home, obviously, and I'll be doing my driver's license while I'm paying the fee. So while I'm paying the fee, I'll be finishing up my driver's license. Get my driver's license. They're going to have me get Ivan, we'll have you get your license. Yeah, they'll have me get my license when I pay this fee. I only have like 2 months left for driving, and I get my license. But I haven't driven in like 4 years. And so I'm going to have to get used to driving again. But I'll get the hang of it. Ivan, were you a good driver? Yeah, I did. When I drove, I did good in like all my tests. All my tests, I did good. I did pretty good. One test, I didn't do that good. But the other tests, they gave me like an A's. Yeah, Ivan, you're a good, you're a good driver. You know what I'm saying? But I remember one time, I'll tell you a story. Ivan, did you ever take your car out when you had your learners? And yes, I did. I took my car out like I think 3 times to get like McDonald's and all stuff. I remember one time, I took my car out obviously, and I was driving. Cops, do not arrest me, okay? This happened in the past. I was driving, you know what I'm saying, and I reversed my car, my van, obviously. You know what I'm saying? It was dark. I couldn't see the pedal, and I pressed the pedal super hard and went over the curve of my of my of my of my what of my of my in my property, of my yard. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, holy shit, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was rusty that day, obviously, when I drove, obviously. I mean, you could drive. I'm not bad. I did, like, when I did that test, I did good. I did good when I did my driving tests. I did good. Obviously, I drove on the highway. I did good. Everything. And had I not went to college, I would have gotten my license a long time ago. I would have got my license. I would have had my license by now. But I don't know if they would have let me get my license because the doors are locked. Me, you see what I'm saying? I don't know if they would have let me get my license. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Step Founders will let me get my license. Obviously, I just can't make any money. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm officially part of the Zanus family. Sorry, not the Zanus family. The Lord of the Rings family. Yeah, I finished all 3 books, man. That's why I love going on Lord of the Rings Reddit. I love reading what the fans have to say. The fans post pictures on. I recommend you guys check out that blog, man. Lord of the Rings Reddit. Just say LOTR and write in Reddit, REDDIT on Google, and you'll find the site. You also have Fantasy Reddit. I haven't been checking out Fantasy Reddit a lot. Fantasy Reddit, they talk about everything. They talk about all fantasy books and movies, all that stuff. Fantasy Reddit. But they also talk about Lord of the Rings there too. Fantasy Reddit is like a huge blog. They have almost 2 million people subscribe to that blog, man, to that forum. Whereas Lord of the Rings Reddit only has like 600,000 people subscribe to that forum. But my point is, it's an interesting blog. People talk about Lord of the Rings. They talk about all that, everything to do with Lord of the Rings. The movies, the shows, the books. They talk about everything. People talk about their collect. Hey, I bought a collection, and they post a picture. The maps, swords. I bought this sword. I drew this picture of Middle Earth. Yeah, they talk about topics about Lord of the Rings and J.R. Tolkien. Yeah, it's everything to do with Lord of the Rings. Those fans are like, oh my god, Ivan did it. Ivan read all 3 books. Yeah, man, I read all 3 books. I'm officially part of the Lord of the Rings family, man. I read the whole thing. Yeah, man. And Lord of the Rings is long, man. It's fucking long. Fellowship of the Ring is 530 pages. Two Towers is like 440 pages. And then Return of the King is like 370 pages, whatever it is. They're long books. And I read all 3 books. Fuck, it was long to read, you know what I'm saying? Took me, what? I started reading Lord of the Rings in what? Towards the end of 2020. I remember I ordered the book. I ordered the book around November of 2020. Remember when I made that video, The Secretaries? Around that time, I just got my book. I got my book like a month before that. Yeah, I ordered my Lord of the Rings set in 2020 on Amazon. I bought the cheap set, like the $40 set. Everyone arrived in the middle. I was excited. I'm like, oh, I want to read this book. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, the book came in around, I don't remember. Was it November or October? I think it was November it came in. End of October around there? Came in around there? My book came in around there. End of October, around there, my book came in. And I finished Fellowship of the Ring last year, like in April, I think. March. Yeah, March around there. April, I finished Fellowship of the Ring. And then Two Towers I read. And I finished that towards the end of last year. I don't know, like September around there. I started Two Towers in like May. And I finished it in like August, September. And then Return of the King, I took my time with it. It took me forever to finish that. I started reading that in towards the, like, I don't know. I don't remember, man. I think it was like September last year. Around there, and I just finished it now. So it took me like what, 8 months, 9 months to finish Return of the King, man. Because I was slacking off with my reading. That's why it took me a long time to finish. So, because at one point I would read it every day, like 10 pages a day, 10, 12 pages a day. You know what I'm saying? And other days, and after that I would take like 1 month, 2 months off and not read it. And I come back to reading Lord of the Rings again, and I kept reading it, you know what I'm saying? I remember when the power went out, because the power went out, there's nothing to do, I might as well read Lord of the Rings, and I binged like 30 pages. And that's how I caught up, and then I ended up finishing my book. Finishing my book in what? And a couple days ago I finished my book. I finished my book like 3 days ago. 3 or 4 days ago I finished Return of the King. And now all I have left to read is the appendices. I don't know, you're going to read the other books? No. I'm not going to read like the Children of Hurin, the Silmarillion. I'm not going to read those books. No. I'm just going to read the Lord of the Rings story and that's it. As I told you, I'm not a book nerd. I'm not really a guy who loves reading like a lot of books, you know what I'm saying, or like these book nerds. There's some people who love Lord of the Rings so much they read everything. They read the Children of Hurin, they read History of Middle Earth. These are all like prequel books, right? They read Silmarillion. They read all these books. Whereas me, I'm not going to read all those books. I might read The Hobbit. I'm probably going to pick up The Hobbit. The Hobbit's only 200 pages. The Hobbit, I'm probably going to pick up and read that. I'll read that, The Hobbit. I'll buy The Hobbit maybe, I don't know. Sometime this year, I'm going to buy The Hobbit. I'm going to read the whole Hobbit book. Because The Hobbit's only 200 pages. Not that long. I can read that book. And that's it. I'm not reading Children of Hurin. I'm not reading Silmarillion. I'm not reading those. I heard those books are even more boring than even Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Yeah. Because those books are like the history of Middle Earth and all that stuff. Like the first age, the second age of Lord of the Rings. And I heard those books are a drag to read. I heard Silmarillion is like a drag to read, man. It's like the Bible, they said. Yeah, that's why I'm not going to read those books. I'm just going to read Lord of the Rings. I already read Lord of the Rings. I'll read the appendices of Return of the King, and I'll read The Hobbit, and that's it. I'm not reading any of the other books. I'm not a crazy, you know what I'm saying? What about Wheel of Time? I cannot read. Wheel of Time has like 13 books, man. I cannot read 13 books. That's too much. That's crazy. I don't even read. I read, in like 10 years, I only read like 3-4 books. I can't read a 13 page, 13 book series. That's fucking crazy. I can't read Wheel of Time. Malzin's crazy. Malzin, I heard, has like a 8, 9, 10 book series. That's crazy. I can't read a 10 book series. That's crazy. As I told you, I'm going to keep saying this. I recommend to all you aspiring authors, never ever write a 10 book fantasy series. Do not do that. It becomes convoluted and it will lose originality to the original story. Because there's only so much you can tell in a fucking fantasy story. You see what I'm saying? Like the moment you have 10 books, it becomes convoluted and it can ruin your series, man, and you lose originality to the story. You see what I'm saying? You know how Lord of the Rings it's just 3 books? Yeah, it's the Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King, and that's good enough. If Tolkien made like a 10-book series for Lord of the Rings, the series wouldn't be as good, and you would lose originality to the original story. Stick to the 1-3 rule. Remember what I said before? Stick to the 1-3 rule like the Trinity. There's nothing wrong with having. Look, man, if you want to write a trilogy. And like each book takes place like 5-10 years later, fine, do that if you want. I recommend you don't do that. I recommend you stick to the 1-3 rule. And have it be the same story, but three different books, like Lord of the Rings. One story told in 3 books. That's the best way to do a trilogy, obviously. But if you want to do like have it 5 years later for all your sequels, that's fine. But I recommend stick to 3 books and that's it, man. Don't go on into a tantrum and do like 10 books. No, man. Otherwise, your series will become convoluted, and you will lose originality to the original 3 books if you do that. I'm not taking anything away from Steven Erikson and Brandon Sanderson and all those guys, right? Well, the Stormlight series is 3 books, right? Brandon Sanderson, I think the Stormlight series is 3 books. There's nothing wrong with doing more than 3 books, but I recommend after you do your 3rd book and your series. And if you want to do more books in your series, do prequels if you want. Do prequels or do sequels that take place like hundreds of years later. Do something like that if you want. If you want a huge series, obviously. But don't do a thing where you write your first book and you do like 9 sequels afterwards. Don't do that. No, 9 sequels afterwards. Don't do that. No, your story can become convoluted, and you can lose originality to your original draft because you have so many stories going on. You see what I'm saying? And it doesn't. Whenever you have like 10 books, it doesn't. What you lose your book is no longer original. Because you have so many stories happening after your original story. You see what I'm saying? It becomes crazy. You know what I'm saying? Stick to the 1-3 rule, like the Trinity. You know how the Trinity, you have the Father, you have the Son, you have the Holy Spirit. There are 3 different persons, but they're one in nature. Right? Have the same story, but you can have 3 different what? 3 different books. So the books are different, obviously. They're separate, obviously. They're different, but it's the same linear, cohesive story, like Lord of the Rings. There's a reason why J.R.R. Tolkien wrote it like this. Yeah, because this is the best way to write a story. Have one story and then told in 3 different books. J.R.R. Tolkien... Well, originally, J.R.R. Tolkien only had one story, but they split it. They forced him to split it into three different books, obviously. Just like originally when I wrote Zane's, it was one story. I can easily have Zane's be one story, but no, if you have Zane's be one story, for a movie, it can be what? If the reason why I'm splitting Zane's into 3 books is because if I were to turn Zane's into a movie and I adapted the Biscuit, I would have to split it into 3 parts. As you can't cram all my book into one like 3-hour movie. No, man, the movie will be a mess. You have to what? You have to split it into 3 different books. That's why if I'm gonna split it into 3 movies because the book's so long, I might as well split it into what? Into 3 volumes. That's why I split Zane's into 3 volumes. But it's one story. It's the same story except 3 different volumes. You have Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And when I sell my book, I want to sell it as one book, and the 3 volumes are contained in the one book. Like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, you have Fellowship of the Ring, you have Book 1, Book 2. Think something similar to that for my book. You have Last Hope for Zane's, and you have Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. You see what I'm saying? You have Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. You see? You have Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And Volume 3. Yeah, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3 you have for my book. You see what I'm saying? It's one story told in 3 volumes. And Volume 3, in my opinion, is the best of the 3 volumes. We can argue Volume 2 is better, but I like Volume 3 better. But you can argue Volume 2 is better too. It's tough. When you read Volume 3, you're like, yeah, this is fucking amazing. Obviously. You know what I'm saying? Because Volume 3, you get the unexpected plot twist, climax, action, and you have the action in the end, you have the adventure. And you have big climaxes in Volume 3. That's why it stands out more than Volume 2 in my opinion. But Volume 2, you can argue the chapters kept you more hooked when you read it. But Volume 3, you can also argue the chapter kept you more hooked too, though. And so, in my opinion, Volume 3 is the best, man. It's better than Volume 2 in my opinion. But there's some people who might like Volume 2 better than Volume 3. I'm picturing the movie in my mind. I'm like, yeah, Volume 3 will most likely be the best of the 3 movies. Because you have a huge war in the end, something better than Helm's Deep. You know what I'm saying? You have the huge battle sequence, the huge battle in the Gilead's Caverns. With Ephesus and his army and Tachys and all of them. Yeah, man. Tachys, the 700 blacksmiths, Papyri, Cassius, Tacitonis, and all of them. They all fight the Ephesus army in the caverns. You know, imagine something better than what you got from Moria in Lord of the Rings. Because you're looking at like a war. A small war in the caverns. Yeah, man. Looking at amazing what? An amazing what? Movie, man. Something crazy, yeah, man. Volume 2, Ivan, is Volume 2, all 3 volumes have action. Volume, what? Volume 1, you have the war. I won't spoil the story. You have the war with Tachyon the First and Aratat in the prologue. I won't spoil the story for you. You see what I'm saying? And then you have what? You have what? You have Defias and all them. I don't want to spoil. We have a battle sequence with them. Obviously, yeah. You have some what? Some action sequences in Volume 1. Obviously, Volume 2. You have the battle with Tacitonius, Cassius, their 50 men, and Fafula and his 25 wolves. Obviously, the beginning of the movie. You see what I'm saying? At the beginning of the movie, obviously. But what Peter Jackson might tell him, hey, Ivan, I recommend you end off Volume 2 with a battle. You end Volume 2 with a battle with Tacitonius, Cassius, and to end Volume 2 off. Okay, Peter, do you prefer that I start Volume 2 off with a battle? Because Volume 2 starts off with what? With Tactius and them arriving in Saphis, obviously. They meet Lithia and all them. And it's also, it starts off with Tacitonius, Cassius, and fighting the wolves. Do you think it's better if I start Volume 2 off with a battle, or I end Volume 1 off with a battle? I can have them have the battle, and it ends there if you want. I don't know, Ivan. Ending Volume 1 of the battle is good. It's good. But I think you should just stick to your book. Have the battle be at the beginning of Volume 2. Yeah, I'm thinking the battle should be at the beginning of Volume 2. To build the tension, obviously. Oh, what happens to Tacitonius and all of them, you know what I'm saying? You watch Volume 2 and you find out what happens to them. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens. That's why I'm gonna make some minor changes to my book, obviously. There's some scenes that are in Volume 2 that might be in another volume. You see what I'm saying? But that's rare though. I'm not gonna do what Peter Jackson did, whereby he takes all this stuff and he puts it in different books. No, in different books. No, in a different movie. No, I prefer to stick to the story. As I don't want. Okay, Peter, I don't mind making a few minor changes. If you want to have the end battle sequence, you want to have the battle sequence with Tacitonius, Cassius, 25, his 50 men, whereas Fafula and 25 wolves at the end of Volume 1. I am fine with that. Obviously, but don't do that like crazy. Don't go on a frenzy and do that for all my 3 volumes. Because I want to follow my story. Don't worry, but yeah, follow my story. I want to follow my story of my book. You see what I'm saying, huh? I want to follow my story of my book. You see what I'm saying? I want to follow my story of my book. Hence why what? You have to be what? You have to be careful. You have to be careful. You have to be careful. You have to be careful, you know what I'm saying? You have to be careful. You have to be careful. You see what I'm saying? You have to be careful. So this video, I don't know, I might talk about my Zanus story, my Zanus book, and my Zanus movie, because I think I've talked about Sky Source enough. The actors of Zanus are lucky. They're going to get to experience testimony with me, VJ, my Sky Source Entertainment Company, for my last Over Zanus movie project. You're looking at the best story ever told in motion picture. Something crazy. Yeah, you're looking at something crazy. For the fame. For my book and my movie. Yeah, man, high chance Peter Jackson will make a few changes for my movie. I recommend we do the what? We end Volume 1 off with a battle sequence with... Okay, Peter, do you want to start Volume 1? Do you want to have The scene when Suetonius and Cass and their 50 men fight the 25 wolves. Ephesus fools 25 wolves. Do you want that to be in the beginning of volume 1? Start it off in the beginning of volume 2, sorry, like it's in the book, or do you want to end it off volume 1 with a battle? And the after the battle, the movie ends. Ivan, I think I don't know. I think we should just follow your book. Let's just have in the beginning of the you know how in Two Towers they had a battle in the beginning? You can do something like that for volume 2. That way you start volume 2 off with a bang. You see what I'm saying? Huh? Yeah. Obviously, because volume 2 arguably has the slowest pacing of the 3 volumes. Ivan, which book has the most pacing? The book that volume 3 has the most pacing. Volume 3 has a lot of pacing going on in that volume, because there's so many big climaxes going on in that volume. And that's why I like it the best, obviously. But volume 2 is a bit slower than the volume. Well, volume 2 has big pacing too. Volume 1 probably has the slowest pacing, in my opinion. Yeah, volume 1 has the slowest pacing. But for the movie, some people might like volume 1 better than volume 2 and 3. Yeah, I like because volume 1 is more like, it's about Tachys and them behind the walls. Tachys is a kid, he grows up in Xanus. You get the horse race, you get the beautiful life of Tachys as a baby, you know what I'm saying, Tachys the first. You know what I'm saying, and then his life he's training the arts with Suetonius. Cassius and Miramis train them. It's an amazing story, obviously. But in my opinion, I think volume 3 will be the best. Because volume 3, you have the huge war in the end. You have a battle in the caverns. You're gonna see me what in the movie fighting all the orcs, all the wolves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's crazy, man. You have what? Yeah, that's why volume, and you have the big climax. I won't tell you what the big climaxes are, but you have the big climaxes in volume 3. That's why, in my opinion, volume 3 will be the best of the three movies. But some people might like volume 2 better. Peter Jackson might. I like volume 2 better. I'm gonna ask Peter. Hey, Peter, what volume do you like the best? I don't know why. I like volume 2 the best. I'm saying, I don't know. I like volume 3 better than volume 2, but I kind of like volume 2 better than volume 3, Ivan. You know what I'm saying? Volume 1 is by far the worst of the series. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But guaranteed everyone will think volume 1 is the least of all 3. Because it has slow pacing, and it's what? It has slow pacing and what? And it's not as good as volume 2 and volume 3. Trust me, when you read my book, volume 2 and 3 are